Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is a larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Hello everybody and welcome to a bonus edition of the Dragons Lair podcast in association with the Riverside Sports Bar, the home of live sport and banging burgers in Newport. With me as always is Gavin Thomas and Garth Leclerc. Hello gentlemen, how are we?
Evening.
All good, still riding the crest of the wave of the Dragons European conquest, so feeling good.
Excellent. So this is a bonus episode because we have a special guest with us. Joining us this week is a former Wales international who has played for clubs such as Ospreys, London Irish, Cardiff, Edinburgh Dragons and Cross Keys. Don't forget the mighty Keys, up the Keys. He's also held various coaching roles such as Dragons Academy coach, Tonga assistant coach and Cardiff's backs coach. He is currently the director of Haberdashers Sports Academy in Monmouth, and you've probably heard his pearls of wisdom on the Scrum V podcast. Richie Rees, welcome to the Dragons Lair. How are you?
Pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thanks for inviting me. I would apologise. It took me so long to get on, but life has been busy. But pleasure to be here.
Oh, we appreciate that. I know Gav has been pestering you on LinkedIn, isn't he? He's been constantly stalking you and pestering you. So I do apologise for that. But you're with us now, and that's all that matters. So that's great.
He did his job, didn't he? He got his job right.
Yeah, fair play to him. Fair play. Right then, so we always start by asking our guests about their rugby journey. So Richie, can you tell us about how and where it all began for you in your rugby career?
Yeah, so I'm from Swansea originally. And my local club is Dunvant. So I played there from when I was 5. I started when I was 5 and went all the way through. I played for their senior team. So I was captain of the youth, and then I actually played 8 games for Pontypool when they won the league. So it was when Kevin Ellis got banned, and so they were short of a scrum half. Do you remember Nicky Lloyd's scrum half?
Yeah.
So Nicky, and then he played for Dunvant a few years ago. So he was like, "Oh, there's a young scrum half at Dunvant. Get up." Anyway, long story short, I played the remaining 8 games, and it was like Byron Hayward at 10, Lenny Woodard, Johnny Hawker. Toby's dad, so Toby's old man was there. It was an unbelievable Mark Jones. It was an unbelievable squad, and I played that game. I actually scored their 1,000th ever league try. So that's a stat.
You want to get that on the Wikipedia page? That's a good nugget, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and it went from there. Then I was just playing for my local club, and then Tony Clement, who was a 15 for Wales back in the day. So he was coaching Swansea, and then he got a wisp when I went to Swansea from there. I just missed the academy system. There's no real academy system at the time. So and I went on from there. Then I did a couple of years at the Ospreys. Went to London Irish, Cardiff, Edinburgh Dragons. So that was my playing career. So brilliant career, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I thoroughly enjoyed the people I met and the clubs I played for and the experiences I had.
Oh, good stuff. Fair play. So, as mentioned, you spent 2 years at the Ospreys, winning the Celtic League. You moved to London Irish. Then you returned to Wales in 2007, signing for Cardiff Blues. And to be fair, you made quite an impact, Richie, didn't you? You know, many people will know you from your time at Cardiff. You made 100 appearances, winning the Anglo-Welsh Cup and the Challenge Cup. That Challenge Cup win against Toulon in Marseille, that's got to be right up there with your career highlights, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. We had a great team. We had a great bunch of boys, and it was that time. Where Toulon were just big. The final was Wilkinson, Umunga, Pierre
Yeah.
Mignoni, Van Niekerk, Sonny Bill Williams, and yeah, so we had a good couple of years at Cardiff, across losing in the semi-final of the Millennium on a penalty shootout to Leicester the year before and all these things. But we had a good bunch of boys, and that's what Dragons are building a little bit at the minute. Is that good group that are just working hard for each other and are good people ultimately.
Yeah. And you won 9 caps for Wales. Should have had more, in my opinion. But you had 9 caps. What was your relationship like with Warren Gatland and the rest of the Wales coaches?
Yeah, well, Gats gave me my first cap. I got a ban. I did from playing from Cardiff against Northampton, and so I had a 12. I was named in the Welsh squad for the next tournament. And then my ban came up, and then I missed the whole Six Nations over the few weeks I was banned, and then I never really got back in. I went to the World Cup camp in Poland, Spala, for 2 weeks with the likes of Lloyd Burns, Toby, is when they were first coming on the scene.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I played against Wales for the Barbars in 2012. But yeah, my last cap was, I think it was Fiji, maybe. So yeah, but mate, like brilliant experience. Gats stuck up for me a little bit with all that went on in regards to my ban.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good, it was very much based upon, we had some world class individuals, Arwen Jones, Gethin Jenkins,
Yeah.
these sorts of guys, Lee Halfpenny. So it was built in and around that, and yeah, again, wouldn't change it for the world apart from the ban.
I wasn't going to mention the band, by the way, but you brought it up, so it's fine now.
Richie, I've got a question about Gats, just from your experience of working with him.
Yeah.
Do you think he's a coach who can get the best out of any players, or do you think that first time when he was Wales coach, he was just gifted with just a world class array of blokes? What do you think it is? Why were they successful? Do you think, or why were you successful during that time as
It's
well?
difficult to be successful second time round, isn't it? I suppose.
I'd say so, yeah.
It was a world class group of individuals, but I will say coaching internationally and regionally is a different beast.
Mm.
So you can, how you deal with groups of players. You can't constantly have a foot on their throat, for example, which in international rugby you can. You've got the best of the best. But club rugby, you've got to build relationships. You day to day, you try to make people better, and that's probably what you don't do within Welsh camps. You get people understanding systems and understanding playing with each other, what attacking system we play, what defensive system, and that's the difference. And from coaching at club level to international level, there are differences that probably people don't appreciate.
Yeah, you haven't really got time to improve players, have you? You just have to select the players who can do the job you want them to do, I suppose.
Yes, exactly that. And you can't, and how you deal with players is also probably a key one during those camps, whether you're in there for 8 weeks or 4 weeks when on some trips when you go away. But that's a key one for me, and people probably don't understand the psychological safety and the relationship part of it is massive. So yeah, and that's just the way the game is going. I think the whole coaching aspect, someone like Matt O'Brien is a really good relationship man. So yeah, and within the coaching group, you've got to have Sean Edwards was excellent.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of different types of personality. We were in New Zealand for for a tour once in 2010, and I got back on the bus, and he's one of the first back on the bus after a gym session, and he's just sitting there in his pants, like sweating. I was like, "You're right, John," and he's got yeah, just been on the bag for 45 minutes. When you boys were in the gym, I was like, "Oh, fair play." But it was like he was a really good man, Sean, and it's no coincidence. He must have one of the best coaching resumes going. Like so successful wherever he's been. Detail, but simplified detail and clarity, and that's what he was massive on.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find him slightly terrifying, Richie? Because I find Sean Edwards slightly terrifying. The idea of him, giving me a bollocking if I was to play if I did something wrong.
Yeah, there was my first cap was Wales England 2010 in Twickenham,
Yeah.
and it was the centenary years. Do you remember they wore their
Oh yeah.
old school jerseys there?
Yeah.
And Gareth Cooper started the game. I came on for Coops.
Yeah.
I think it was just after half time, and then he pulled me aside on the Monday, and he showed their final try, and it was a little thing, and then James Haskell had overtaken me running because Dylan Armitage had gone the length of the field. But
Yeah.
James Haskell had overtaken me by about 4 meters, and he's gone, Rich, you're one of the quickest guys here. There's no way you should be. And like he was right, but it was, do you know what I mean? And it's things like that you remember, you appreciate, and you
Yeah.
think, right, I won't let him down again.
No, fair enough. So you leave Cardiff in 2012, and then you sign for Edinburgh. What was it like playing up in Scotland, Richie? Was that a good experience for you?
Yeah, it was brilliant for me personally.
Mm.
They had a good team at the time the year before. They'd done well in the Heineken Cup. They got through to the quarterfinals, I think it was. Likes of Tim Visser, David Denton, Nick
Yeah.
VP Nell. Me and VP signed at the same time. But I went up with John Yap, who was the prop of Cardiff. So we went up there together. We lived about 50 meters away from each other. So it was a brilliant experience. Um, but yeah, I like wherever I've gone, mate. I've enjoyed it. Different experience. The one at London Irish probably was the most impactful. I got released from the Ospreys by Lynn Jones because they were signing Justin Marshall. So
that's fair enough, I suppose.
So I got signed to London Irish at the time, and as their third choice nine. But what I learned and about myself, the game, and the people and relationships up there was unbelievable. But it's so ironic. The game, like at the time, no other Welsh club wanted me, and then we played against Cardiff in the Arms Park on a Friday night on what used to be like the EDF Cup or something.
Yeah.
So for London Irish, I'd man of the match. I'd scored in the Arms Park, and Di came up to me after the game. Would you be interested in coming back? I was like, well, I've only been up there
You just left
about 3 months. So I was like, I'm going to have to speak to the club. So long story short, I went to uni in Cardiff, and then they worked it out, and then I came back after just a season. But it was a brilliant time up there, and yeah, it was good.
You don't wash your jersey during a win streak. You don't switch seats when your team's up big. And you definitely don't shave during the playoffs. When things are working, you don't change them. That's why when you drink Jägermeister, you drink it ice cold. Anything else? Well, that'd just be bad luck. Drink it cold or don't drink it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume. Imported by Mast Jägermeister, U.S. White Plains, New York.
Yeah, good stuff. So you come home to Wales and you do sign for the Newport Gwent Dragons. So how did that move come about then?
It's a funny one. So at the time, it was Darren Edwards coaching with Rob Appleyard, I think it was.
Yeah.
So all the communication through the agent was with Darren. I half knew Darren. He'd previously been at London Irish just before me. He was a scrum half naturally, so you follow positions, didn't you? And then so all the chat around coming back was of what I could offer to the group regards to leadership sort of stuff. And anyway, long story short, I got straight into. I wanted to come back because obviously I knew a few of the boys as well. Like Rhys Thomas was joining at the same time. It was Goffey, Bernie, so there was a bit of experience going on. We knew we had a good young group. And I turned up first day at pre-season. TR picked me up. We pulled in the Rodney Parade, and Lynn Jones is standing there. And I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He was like, "I'm just signed to come on board as one of the coaches." I had a funny old relationship with Lynn, so but yeah, it was interesting. But man, I loved the time there. We had the start of that first season. I think we won 5 of the first 7 games or something. So we beat Scarlets, we beat Ulster at Rugby at home, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, they'd just gone up. We'd just gone up to Ystrad Mynach, so there's good facilities.
Yeah,
the pitch is always tidy there. So Natani Talai, do you remember him? The number 8. we signed. So I played with him in Edinburgh the year before. So I actually spoke to him this morning. But we had a good group, good group. The likes of Coombsy was coming through, Shanty, Lewis Evans, and all this. Tuv was in around, Will Harry. So we had a really good couple of years, and thoroughly pleased I made the move back from Edinburgh for it.
Excellent. Can you remember your Dragons debut?
What was the question now? Is it Ulster?
Correct, it was Ulster. So it was 6th of September 2013. It was Ulster Ronnie Parade. Do you remember anything about the game?
Give me a clue.
Well, Dragons won.
Oh yeah, we won. Yeah, we won a few of the first games. Yeah.
That was your debut when you played against Ulster. Ronnie Parade. Dragons won 15-8.
Oh right, and a couple of weeks we did a job on the Scarlets. Lovely weather, great day. What else were we? Yeah, we had a brilliant start that year. So it's a famous year we beat Stade Francais as well, wasn't it? Or was that the year after?
Year after, that was 2014, wasn't it?
Oh.
This was 2013, yeah. But this is the Richie Rees effect, isn't it? You come to the club, you start winning games, see? So for the Dragons, you made 47 appearances and you scored 40 points. So you touched on it briefly earlier, but how do you look back on your time at the Dragons there, Richie? Are there any particular matches or moments that stand out to you during your time at Ronnie Parade? So obviously, Stade Francais in 2014 is going to be up there, but any other moments or matches that stick in your memory from your time at Dragons?
Yeah, so that Scarlets one definitely sticks in the memory. It's just the quality of the performance from it was unbelievable. We beat Leinster twice that year, home and away.
Yeah,
I think
you did. You did the double.
Yeah, home and
Imagine
away.
that now.
I've got a photo somewhere in my I've got a bit of a man cave on the back where I chuck a load of stuff, and it's us celebrating over in Ireland. It's like me, TR, Coombsy, and might be Tuvey, and there's just a photo, and it's like Jimmy Gopperth on the floor. It's Jack Conan. It's an unbelievable Leinster.
Yeah,
but we beat him home and away that year.
You did, yeah. You were part of a Dragons team that beat Leinster home and away. That's more impressive than winning the Challenge Cup, Richie, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd like to know when the last when the last time that happened was, when the side beat Leinster home and away.
Probably the time he was playing.
Yeah.
When's any side done that? That's quite a feet. Fair play. Love that.
Yeah. I never forget them training on like the cabbage patch just out the back there during the summer. It was a boiling hot summer, and the ground was rock hard. But Alex Lawson was our S&C guy at the time. Do you remember Alex Lawson? He was really good. But yeah, we had a great bunch of people. Will Precious was our video analyst. But we had a good bunch, and we worked hard, together. I know, having played against the Dragons at Rodney Parade, I knew you just want to be hard to beat. And that year we probably over-exceeded expectations a little bit, and that's what's coming back. That now is the team are hard to beat. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game against the Bulls, because I'm not sure anyone's really given them a chance, but I think it's an opportunity for people to stand up before the next huge couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dragons are competitive again, aren't they? Like during your time at Ronnie Parade. Okay, the Dragons will beat us, but they were competitive and they could beat top teams, your Leinsters, your Munsters back then. And it's really good. So you enjoyed your time at Ronnie Parade. You loved playing in front of the fans, better than the Arms Park, I'm guessing, yeah?
Oh, of course.
And you might get him to say it. Clip
that up.
Yes, he said it. Excellent. Oh, dear. Right. You was up at Drummonach recently, Richie. You had a chat to the players before they flew to Paris. I don't know what you said, but it obviously worked because Dragons came away with a famous victory. Can you just give us an insight into what's like behind the scenes at Drummonach? Like, what's the feeling around camp? And give me a bit of insight into Philo. What's he like behind closed doors? Is he a taskmaster? Is he strict, or is he laid back? Do him and Dale McLeod have this good cop, bad cop partnership? I could be completely wrong, but I just want to know what's it like up there at the moment.
So when they were in South Africa, Matt O'Brien pinged me a message, said, "Look, would you be interested in coming into into Ystad just to chat around the Stade Francais game from 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, no problem. I think he'd had a couple of wines in Cape Town. So, but I was like, yeah, no worries. So I went up. I essentially named the squad for them that would play against Stade Francais, and then I just put one slide on the screen. And for that game, when we were going over to Paris, so we got a bus from Rodney Parade to London for 3 hours, and then we got a 1 hour. Then we got a 1 hour flight from Heathrow over to Paris. But in the airport, we saw Kylie Minogue, so I got a photo with her. So it was me.
That's random.
Yeah,
I was expecting to go there. Okay.
Me, Aled Brew, Kingsley Jones, and Tom Pridey in the photo with Kylie Minogue. So I had that.
Brilliant.
So I had that on the screen for the boys. I had.
I assume she asked you lot for the picture, not the other way round.
She said, "Is that the dragon?"
She should be so lucky. Sorry. Terrible joke. Sorry, Richie, continue.
And I had a photo of a washing machine because that game Tuvey couldn't play because his missus put his passport in the washing machine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
So it was Angus's first start. So that was one photo. That was the other. The third thing was something in a week was Lynn had said in a meeting, he's like, boys, I'd give us about 10% chance of winning this game on the weekend. so that
inspirational stuff, Lynn.
So that as well. But something else that was said that week by, I think it was Alex Lawson, was, boys, like, go and change perceptions.
Yeah.
There was no pressure on, and that stuck with me. Like even 11 years later, and so I put that on the board with the final score under it. So I chatted around those 3 key points, named the team for them, and made them have another victory after. But there's a good dynamic in that coaching group at the minute. Sam Hobbs, obviously, very much a details man. Obi is a people person, very good relationships. I coached Obi when I did the British Irish Cup for the Dragons, so I was head coach of that for a couple of years. But he's a good coach, real good young coach. And then there's obviously Dale and Philo between them. And they're very quiet, very unassuming. Philo leads all the culture, behaviour sort of stuff. Do James Chapron, he's like the general manager.
Chappie, yeah.
So Chappie is, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, he's like the brains trust in that group. He's a very intelligent man, knows the ins and outs of Gwent rugby. And he delivers in some meetings, but there's a good vibe within that coaching group, and what they're building in the playing group is a pleasure to be part of. We had them up in Monmouth School. They had a camp up with us for 3 days in pre-season.
Yeah.
And I saw it straight away then. It was one of Dale's first sessions when they came in, and him and Philo have obviously worked together before, so they're bouncing off each other. But it's changing perceptions takes time on and off the field, and I think the Dragons are putting their best foot forward at the minute to A, change perception, but B, become a very good rugby team.
You mentioned there as well, like Philo leads the culture. We hear that a lot in rugby about culture and how important it is. But from like the outside, how do you change a culture, and what makes a good culture in your opinion from the clubs you've been at?
For me, it's more around like behaviours and honesty and understanding. When you're delivering in meetings, you've got, let's say there's 45 players in there. You're not going to connect with all of them, but you've got to be a touch point where they feel A, they can get feedback, B, they can trust you. Ultimately, they don't have to like you, but they have to respect what you're saying. They have to respect that they know your stuff, and also what Philo's very good at is allowing people. He's not micromanaging people. He's like, right, you're the defence coach. I'm happy with you leading this. I'm not going to pick holes in your game. So there was a massive study done in the States, and it was around coaches, NFL coaches, and it was like what three characteristics do players value most, and it was honesty. Do they make me better? And can I relate to them? So, and times have changed. Of your coaches from 50 years ago who would beat you with a stick, no positivity. I think there's a fine line, because you can't pull pull a wool over fans' eyes. They ultimately see what you see. But I think how you behave, and there has to be a challenge. Regards to you have to challenge other people, challenge people to get better, coaches and players. But it's how you go about it, and rather than being a bit of a prick about it, it's right. Ultimately, we're here to get better individually and collectively, and that's what Field's good at. He lets people get on with their job, let them stay in their lane, and then ultimately he's got your helicopter view, overseeing. And then what he's unbelievable at is he'll protect his coaches, protect his players. He doesn't want much praise. He'll heap it on them, but it's a credit to him what he's building there.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you for that insight. That's quite helpful and quite interesting. So there's been a lot of false stones at the Dragons for many years, as I'm sure you'll know, Richie. But with your job at BBC Wales, you obviously watch a lot of Dragons. Do you feel like we are finally heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I hope so, mate. You've got the recruitment you've done over the last couple of years has made a significant difference. And the ability, like recruiting is the hardest thing. If you can retain the people you want to retain and then recruit, because what's historically happened is your best players have been picked off. And, people may argue the same as with Wainwright at the minute, but no one can blame Aaron Wainwright for going for lesser time.
Not at all. No.
At this moment in his time in his career.
Yeah.
Because what he's given to the club is huge. And but I think the ability to retain Rio Dyer with the likes of Shea Hope coming through, Tina Stabia, what Chrissy Coleman's putting forward together, Ben Carter, Ryan Woodman, these guys, there's a huge ceiling there. And if you can retain that core group, it's a massive thing. And then as long as you can keep adding one or two bits of quality, then the steps of the ladder are good.
I was going to ask you, what have you made of Shea Hope this season before his injury, being a 9? What's your thoughts?
I did commentary on him a bit last year as well, but I love him, mate. I think that as a scrum half, you've got to be able to put speed into the game these days. Everyone goes on about gain line and speed of ball. If your 9 can't deliver that, then I think there's an issue. He's having worked with Thomas Williams, who's one of the best 9s in the world. Shea reminds me so much of a young Thomas.
Yeah. Really?
So just his speed across the floor, and he's got a little bit of that. Not arrogance, but that he's comfortable in his own skin, and he's comfortable.
He definitely has, yeah.
Because I like that little bit of an edge with 9s, and
bit of swagger, isn't it?
Yeah, and he reminds me so much of Thomas, and his skill set is. You saw what he did to Cardiff at the Arms Park at the start of this year, and he's done in a few games and leading up to that. But he's such a young guy. The challenge for him will be trying to stay fit, and then managing that little bit of wild card emotion that he's got deep down in him. So,
yeah. Well, we refer to him as Shea Goat now because he's awesome. But you mentioned as well, like you've got to bring that pace up. And I think it's always been on a 9 or the halfbacks to dictate pace in the game. And I think you were someone who could come on and pick up the tempo in the game, which is more difficult if you've got to come on and slow a game down and control it, or if you're sent on, pick it up because we're chasing. How did you find that?
It's very context driven. Like there was a part of half time in the game on the weekend, wasn't there? So I was doing commentary just before half time. So Di Richards has been yellow carded, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then for that probably 8 minutes, I was like, boys, chill out a bit. Like they were just trying to do this. The context of knowing what to do and when to do it tactically is huge. And it only comes through experience. And having seen it on the field or reviewed it off it, I think it's a massive part of the game. But I'm not sure when Rod Wills is back, but if you had a Rod Wills and a Shea, it's a good balance between the two. So sort of, you could, if you need a game that right, we're going after these in attack, or if you need a bit more of a kicking angle where maybe you can manage Rod into it. But it's context. What's your game model? How do you plan? How does Philo want to play the game? And then he can recruit plays in and around that. But Shea Hope has got a serious ceiling for me.
Yeah, nice. Did you prefer to speed it up or slow it down? Sorry, Gav.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, how did you prefer to play yourself, Rich? I always felt like you were a quick-paced scrum half.
Yeah, my thing was my speed, I suppose. But as I got a little bit older, you probably put a little bit more of and the further up the tree you go, we put a bit more appreciation on the tactical side of the game. If you lose momentum for 3 phases within your own half, then you have to change your picture a bit. You can't keep playing because you're putting pressure on yourself. So it's box, or do you play to an edge and find a kick through, or so there's loads of different options. But the appreciation of, I'd much prefer to play a bit of unstructure and speed into your game, and I prefer to coach that as well. So, but yeah, there is context.
Yeah, fair.
Richie, I was just going to ask. I coach a kid's side. I'm a forward. I have no idea what scrum halves do, other than shout at me. But what advice would you give to a young scrum half? Just two nuggets that they're really they need to keep in their head.
The first one, and I probably didn't appreciate it early on in my career, is just your ability to pass the ball. Because I know but you're making 120 passes, 180, 160 passes a game, whereas your winger might make 2. So ultimately, you're going to be judged on that, aren't you? So that's your biggest thing. The second one would be the ability to spot the gap, and it's like me. If I saw a big fatty in front of me, I'll be like, particularly defending at 2 or 3. I'm like, right, I'll have a go at him next phase now, because I know he gets a little bit lazy, he gets a little bit lateral. And it's just probably what I would say to any young rugby players is just watch more rugby at the minute, because having dealt with, they watch a 60-second highlight reel on social media, but then it takes away all the understanding of, particularly in certain positions, of how the game is managed and played. So I recommend anyone to watch, or particularly younger players coming through, to watch as much rugby as you can.
Yeah, good advice. So in 2024, then, after 6 years coaching at the Arms Park, you decide to leave Cardiff Rugby and you take up a position at Haberdashers Monmouth School to become the new Director of Sports Academy. What I'd like to know, though, Richie, is what made you decide to quit professional coaching to work in a school? Because I read somewhere that you did have offers, didn't you, to go and coach out in Japan and over the bridge. So how difficult was that decision for you?
We had a very good offer in Japan at the time. If I'm honest, I saw a little bit of what was coming within Welsh rugby.
Yeah.
I've been involved in professional sport for 25 years from playing and coaching. I've got 2 young daughters. So if I would have gone to Japan, I would have left my wife and kids here, and I'm not sure how that would have gone down. So
yeah, fair enough.
So I had that, like, that was that was an offer, but I thought, look, at the time I did my teacher training when I was playing, so I always had that in the back of my mind. I knew the facilities that the school had, and yes, just what probably drove it is I could see what was coming within the Welsh game. And from us as Welsh rugby fans and people involved with it, I think that was the frustrating part. I think you could be the best coach in the world, but ultimately, if your hands are tied, then you're always going to be associated with a losing team, or being bottom of any league.
Richard, can I ask you a question? Is in the work you're trying to do in Monmouth, is that partly to try and get more Welsh players into the kind of Welsh school system, rather than losing lots of guys to English schools that we are currently? There's lots of lads going from the valleys to schools in the West Country and stuff, and we're losing them to the Welsh game ultimately, aren't they? Some of them, because they're choosing to play their rugby in England and represent England.
Yeah, and look, as a Welshman, it's something I'm massively keen. I've done commentary for the last 10, 11 years, of the 20s. And like, you'll always lose players. I think you'll always lose 1 or 2 players. But the bugbear of mine, so Wales 20s last year, I think there was 14 in that squad who weren't playing their rugby in Wales, which for me is way too many. We have to within the WRU, and it's something I'm in discussions with at the minute. But we've got unbelievable facilities. Some of our facilities are better than some of the pro teams in Wales.
Really?
We've got the Eddie Butler Performance Centre, which is an unbelievable gym. We've got 6 pitches, swimming pool, a 4G pitch, a hydraulics hydraulic scrum machine. So my perspective is to try and retain some of these players. So someone like Tom Bowen, who went from Cardiff to Clifton for sixth form, to then come back. I'm like, well, Monmouth is 40 minutes from Cardiff. It takes me 40 minutes in the morning. I still live in Cardiff to drive up there. So let's retain them in Wales. And then it's much easier within the pathway system. They can train at the Vale, or we could have a centre of excellence with us in school, or but the challenge is it's a financial challenge because we offer some really good coaches. One of our coaches, James Pugh, in school, does the forwards with the senior team. He coaches with the Dragons Pathway. He lives in Monmouth, so that's a great attachment for us. There's a bit of a relationship between the Dragons and us as a school with regards to we have a couple of Dragon scholars.
Yeah, Reese Blumberg mentioned scholarships, and when did that start? Is that recent then?
I started about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so and we put on a minibus to take. So someone like Brogan Leary, who I'm not sure if you know much, I was playing for New at the minute, but he's still in school with us. We've got a few boys playing at Pontypool, Cross Keys, but we put a minibus up to get them up to Ystrad. And from a parent's perspective, that's a massive thing to take that off them 3 times a week. We'll transport them up, we'll transport them back. They've got
amazing.
Fair play. That's good.
Facility with us. But the issue you've got is some schools like Clifton or Cheltenham College or Sedbergh, they're going, right, you've got 100% scholarship here, we'll give you a free place. And it's hard to match because at the minute, where let's say there's someone in Basleg comp that we want to get hold of, and I say, right, I can give you a 50% scholarship, but I'm still asking mum or dad then to contribute 50% of something that ultimately they've never paid before because they've never had to. So that's where I'm trying to put in place with and Reese Blumberg's been excellent. I've had a few meetings with Reese on it, and we're touching base with the union at the minute. Is how do we make up that shortfall? Because if we become a hub within Monmouth School with our facilities and our personnel, to stop someone like Tom Bowen, Stefan Emmanuel, like Woodman came to us, Jack Woods came to us.
Yeah.
If we can get a core of some really talented players there, because we play against Millfield, Cheltenham College on a Saturday afternoon, Kingswood, Bath, Collegiate, all these schools. We've got the academic side and we've got that. It's just how do we help the families, and that's we're looking at how can we increase the bursary support, about bringing our most talent, and not just rugby players, netballers, hockey players.
Yeah.
Help bring them into the school, but also get them on that development pathway that is good for them individually, us as a school, and Wales as a nation, where we can retain. Ultimately, we want Welsh players playing in Wales at age grade level.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely.
When you're identifying those players for scholarships, is it done on just who's got talent, or are we sometimes looking out for certain positions that we can see we're low maybe on the pipeline? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a balance. So that you can apply to become a sports scholar in Monmouth School in all sports. So there's like an assessment day, but prior to that, then is footage, or we'd go out and watch that. If I'm talking about rugby, there's footage. There's references that we'd go out and watch, and there's definitely when I was doing some of the recruitment at Cardiff, it's right. Where are we going to be short in 2 years' time? I know we need a 9, so I want Shea Hope in and around.
Oh, you bugger off! You leaving that on the parade.
So that, but it's a combination. So having been up, I spent the week up in Roslyn Park. Obviously, Pant did really well, didn't they? At under 14, they beat Millfield. And it's being published, being out there, speaking to Basleg, going to Whiteheads and watching their youth games and all this sort of stuff. It's a big old task, and it's something that we're putting a strategy together for the benefit of not just the school, for Welsh rugby, and how can we retain, recruit, and make these Welsh kids want to stay in Wales rather than
amazing
go elsewhere.
It's like the English system uses the school sensibly, doesn't it? The Irish system does as well. And I think we've been fools to ourselves, really, almost ignoring that starting point in Welsh rugby.
Yeah, and if parents are after academia and sporting opportunity, then we can offer that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just right. How can we help get them into the pathway? So we have a Westmont School in Pontypool.
Yeah.
So they're an ex-Haberdashers school. So we've got a great relationship with them where there's a couple of players or a couple of students each year get to come into us for sixth form. And this sort of thing where we help people who can't necessarily afford it come into the system to give them the chance of reaching their own ceiling.
Oh, great stuff. Yeah. So you are a commentator and pundit for BBC Wales, like you say, you've been doing that for a while now, haven't you? How did you find the transition from former player to pundit? Because it's not easy, is it, to do? Like, I'm not going to name them, but there have been some former players who have taken to punditry and they're not very good at it. Like I said, I'm not going to name them, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the pod, Richie. I do think you are one of the best pundits that we have in Wales, and I always enjoy listening to you on Scrum V and on BBC Radio Wales. So how did you find the transition?
It came about actually when I was finished at the Dragons and I was doing some of the academy, when I was doing the academy coaching, and then I got asked would I be interested in doing, I think it might have been a red button, one of the first ones, and it was Kerry Sweeney who couldn't do it, so they asked me. It was the first one I did, and then it just went from there. But I enjoy it, mate. You can't, as I touched on earlier, you have to call a spade a spade.
Yes.
Because people are ultimately watching the same game. But I think people want you to be relatable, but also not overly analytical. So there's a balance because we've got a massive breadth and cohort of watching who understand the game fundamentally, and some haven't got a clue. So it's how for me, it's the enjoyment, the energy, and a little bit of how do you get that real right? Why have they made that line break right there? Like an Eddie Butler was unbelievable with me. I did a load with Eddie when I first started, and he helped me along the way. And I enjoy it, mate. And I fully appreciate that people retire every year, and there's always new commentary and pundits coming through. But I've been lucky enough to be in it for a while now, and just hoping I stay in it for a little bit longer.
Oh, I think you will, because you are one of the best pundits out there, you know. I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your ass because you're on a pod. I genuinely mean it. You are really good. Lovely listening to us.
My old man says that to me.
Oh, there we are then, see? Right, before we go then, I got some quick fire questions for you. Just a bit of fun, that's all. But you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so tea or coffee?
Neither.
Okay. Beer or cider?
Beer.
Chinese or Indian?
Indian.
Night in or night out?
Night out. I very much used to be a night out, but with my age, I'm slow. I can't. It takes me about 3 days to get over it. But yeah, I can have a few. If you're there tomorrow, boys, I can have a few tomorrow. So we can have a couple tomorrow if you want.
Excellent. If you're paying, yeah, definitely. Right, pineapple on pizza? Yes or no, Richie?
No.
Correct answer. Favorite film?
Oh. Do you remember a film called Cruel Intentions from years ago?
I do indeed.
Yes.
Michelle Gellar.
I used to love that film when I was younger for some reason.
What's your favourite music, Richie?
I like a bit of house music, I do, yeah.
Okay. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh, that's ambitious.
Genuinely, every club I've played for, that's always been my my go-to initiation song. So
good stuff. That's strong, to be fair.
I'll give it tomorrow, boys, right?
Oh yeah, love to hear that. Favorite teammate at the Dragons?
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, granola, and bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker, bring out the good.
ironically, I had a couple. So Toby playing inside me, Tubby played outside me, all for different reasons. I got on well with uh, William Harries as well, and Nathan. Like I got on well with. I still stay in touch with Coombsy, so I'm still friendly with Coombsy. But Toby inside me just due to his quality, and then Tubby outside I could bark orders at all day long. So, but yeah, he's a very at his time he was some of the things that he could do to be fair to him.
He was talented, wasn't he?
He was.
I was going to ask you who was your favourite 10.
1,200 points or something, I think he was, and it's just like he had so much potential, and like I coached him at Cardiff. Some of the things he could do, and he's still playing now, isn't he?
He's been on here as well.
Yeah, we've had him on the pod. Yeah,
Yeah.
he kind of said himself.
Yeah.
But he kind of said himself, "Well, I could have got my head down a bit more, perhaps, and worked a bit harder."
No, he does. He admits that. If he put his head down, he could have played for Wales. He could have done more. He does admit that. He wasn't interested.
He came to Spala once, I think, with us in pre-World Cup camp. So he came there, and I think and that training was ridiculous, the hardest you'll ever do. And I think he pulled up after a couple of days. I was like, "What's the matter, Tuv?" He's like, "I got a bad hamstring." And I was but he had he's like a good mate of mine. And but yeah, he had so much potential, but he did so much good things. Like he scored 1,200 points in the league.
He was awesome. He's in my Dragons all-time 15. People argue that, but I think he had a lot of talent at 10. To be fair to him,
he did.
Who would be your best ever 10 you've played with? Then you've played with a fair few good ones. To be fair,
Sam Norton-Knight.
Sorry,
that was piffy. That was sorry. I'm sorry.
That was poor.
Sorry.
So he was a signing, and he was playing 15 back home in Australia.
Yeah, he was a good fullback, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he came over to us, and he got chucked in at the deep end, I think. And but he's a really nice guy, Sam. But then Sween took over from Sam then, and then we went on from there. But best ever Parksy was good regards to his comms. Dan Parks was.
Dan Parks, Scottish.
He's playoff,
yeah.
So he obviously he played for Cardiff for a while. He could drink as well, but he his game understanding and his comms were unbelievable. Obviously, depends what you want in a 10. Sweeney. I'll never forget once a message come on to swap Sweeney out the 10 position and shift him on the wing. So it was like, Sweeney, get out. And he was like fuck, I'm moving from 10, and he just stayed there. But there's so many. Like I played with Steve for Wales, but best players would be Shane and Alan Wynn that I've played with. Those two, the things those two could do.
Who would be best on the beers then? You mentioned Dan Parks is good, but who's the best?
TR used to be good, to be fair. He had hollow legs. He could just keep going. Reese Thomas could. Toby's up there, mind. He'll go. He just wouldn't see.
He could drink, could he? Tulupe, yeah.
Oh, good God.
Could he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's always so obviously he's quite quiet, isn't he? And unassuming in his interviews. So we don't see that side.
Yeah, he doesn't seem the type to have a.
He's an Ebervale boy. I don't know what you expect.
Well, yeah, there is that, I suppose.
And the other one would be probably Filsey, but I haven't played against him a lot on one of the tours. We came back, and it's like 4:00. We're in the reception hotel. He's got Warren Gatland in headlock, like slightly digging him in the top of the head, and he's going, make me captain. He's half joking, he's half serious. I'm like, Phil's it's 4:00 in the morning. Like,
he's a legend, wasn't he? Fair play. He was an absolute legend. What else have I got? Right, best coach you ever played for? It's got to be Di Young, haven't it?
Yeah, Big Di was good. To be fair to him, in his time, he was
not Lynn Jones.
Say it again, sorry.
Not Lynn Jones.
Yeah, we clashed, me and Lynn. Di was excellent. Who else was good? I had Michael Bradley at Edinburgh. He was good. Mike Catt was in a player coach role when I played with him at London Irish. So, yeah, I've been lucky, man. I've played with and been coached by a lot of good people.
Yeah. Nice. Who's the toughest opponent you ever faced in your career?
I know it sounds weird, but do you remember the Hawkins brothers? They used to play for Aberravon. So ironically, Joe Hawkins' is dad.
Oh, right, okay.
And one of them was a scrum half. And when I was playing for Dunford, we played against Aberravon. He was the 9. I must have been. I was still at the youth, but playing for the seniors. And he gave me gave me a good going over one game. But it's something you remember, and yeah, he was class. He had a right bit of edge about him, but understood the game, good service, and yeah, good.
Right, so for all the games you played in the Heineken Cup, International Rugby, and it's Joe Hawkins' dad.
Yeah. So
right,
I
okay.
think again, like but that is the one because there was probably I thought, hold on, I got a bit of work to do here before I started. But yeah, I think you back yourself against anybody in the pro game. I think if you're a pro player, you've got to give it a crack. So, but that was just before I was so young at the time, and it's something I should remember.
Yeah, fair enough. And then finally, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Nothing's ever as good as I think it is, or nothing's ever as shit as you think it is. But from a player or a coach, I think you can get het up. People are could dwell on things and how you get that across to particularly young players at the minute. If you've had a bad loss, analyze, appreciate what's gone on, but by Monday afternoon, boys, we're going again next. And I suppose in all walks of life. But that was the best. That is one thing that stuck with me for a long time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sound advice, to be fair. Gavin, any further questions
No,
you'd like to ask Richie?
No,
all good, but been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Sorry, boys, I feel I talk too much, but
no, this is perfect. Not at all. It's been an
it's
absolute pleasure. Right then, Richie Rees, thank you very much for joining us on the Dragons Lair, and all the best, mate.
Thank you, boys. Pleasure.
Thank
Take
you
care.
very much.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.